In 2 days, Ghana will be celebrating 68 years of independence. Are you excited? How are you preparing for that? Welcome to the News Review segment. I'm Sweetie Abochi, and I'm doing this with Benjamin Akakbo. Our guest joining us via Zoom, Dr. Kwame Asante, Head, Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, and Dr. Jibril Mohammed, Senior Lecturer, University of Ghana Business School. Ben.
Well, gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Dr. Jabir, Dr. Mohammed, actually, I see you there. How are you this morning? Dr. Mohammed, you'll have to unmute for me, please. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
Oh, I am well, by God's grace. By God's grace.
Long day yesterday.
Long day indeed, and but here we are. Here we are one more time. And our lecturer, the lecturer of both Dr. Mohammed and yours truly, way back in the day, Dr. Kwame Asante. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. And good morning to Sweetie and Mohammed and everybody who is watching us.
They say, old soldier, once a soldier, always a soldier. So once a teacher or lecturer, always a lecturer. But gentlemen, very quickly, any quick thoughts on your mind that you'd like to share with us, and then we'll get into the papers. I'll start with you, Dr. Mohammed.
Once again, good morning to you and good morning to all our listeners. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to join the Economic Dialogue series. That was the second day that we have the series. And comprehensively, we were able to touch almost all the sectors of the economy, ranging from macroeconomic stability, debt sustainability, enterprise development, and good governance, and everything. And I believe that it is a very comprehensive information that is going to transform the fortunes of this country. And I do hope that the president and all the ministers who were part of the panel will be in a better position to be able to implement these policies so that we can get Ghana out of the troubles that we are currently in.
All right. And that's what we're all praying for, hoping for, as we heard all of these members of government. Dr. Kwame Asante, what are your quick thoughts for us this morning?
Yes. I want to look at Independence celebration tomorrow and lessons that we can learn from that. We have celebrated and continue to celebrate independence. But when I look at it critically, we forget about the real battle our people were fighting against. The battle after independence was to fight against economic problems, fight against injustice, and fight against what? Poverty, and the rest of them. Today, we still have all these evils rearing their ugly heads in our society. What does it tell you? It tells us that we have failed as a society and that we have let our people down. Those who fought, who put their lives on this ground to make sure that we survive and all that, we have failed them. So tomorrow, as we celebrate 68 years of independence, I will urge everyone, including those in government, to reflect on the ideals, aspirations of our forefathers who fought and gave us independence, and try to find out whether the things they stood for are what we are soldiering on with them. If not, we should change course and make sure that we build a society can call our own. There is something that Nkrumah left us with, and that is a book that he wrote. After fighting colonialism, he told us that we are going to fight another battle, which is what? Neo-colonialism. And he said that is the last stage of imperialism. Today, all the things Nkrumah said in that book have come to pass. We need to change our ways and take what? A new paradigm shift that will bring honor, glory, and happiness to us, so that we have a society we can call our own.
Thank you very much. It actually reminds me of our collaboration with the CDD and those town hall and citizen engagements for special groups, persons with disability, the aged, women, among others. After governments get our vote, do they come back? Do they listen to us? And of course, that is part of why these dialogues are being held. But hopefully, they end up acting on what we, the hoi polloi, the masses, the people, want. But let's get into the papers now. Sweetie Abochi will usher us right into them.
I must be the only one living in the 4th of March because I thought Independence Day was 2 days away. But yes, it's tomorrow. And the theme is Reflect, Review and Reset. It's on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, done beautifully. On the front page, on celebrating 68 years independence, public expressed hope for better Ghana. Gbese Traditional Council honors U.S. Ambassador. Foreign Ministry to deliver Hajj passports in 3 days, according to Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. eTransact named 2024 FinTech Company of the Year. Let's get into the papers and see what stories we want to get into. So, a Court of Appeal judge is unhappy about the jury system. Togbi Badu cautions against Anyako Lashibi land acquisition. Junta leader Nguema declares bid for presidency. That's an interesting one. Father tries to block daughter's euthanasia in landmark Spanish case. But here in Ghana, 3rd Ghana Police Mosque annual Ramadan lectures begin Saturday. Use private ADR centers to resolve disputes. I want to stay on this story for a bit. The Chief Justice of Ghana, Justice Gertrude Iraba-Isaba Sakito-Kono, has called on Ghanaians to refer disputes to private alternative dispute resolution centers as a first option in attempting to resolve disputes before resorting to the courts if ADR is unsuccessful. Let me add just one more story to that, and I'll come to you, doctors, for your reflection. I will work with MMDCDs towards developments, that is the Northern Regional Minister, and impact of ethnicity, religion on Ghana's election. It's an editorial. You can pick one for yourself. And there's a story here that says Ghanaians express hope for better Ghana ahead of tomorrow's Indus Day. And Ghanaians from all walks of life have expressed optimism in the future of the country, believing that the 68th independence anniversary will mark the beginning of attainment of the dreams of the founding fathers. Let me start with Dr. Mohammed. Dr. Jibri Mohammed, quick reflections.
Thank you so much. For the issue of the alternative dispute.
Yeah.
I think that is proper because, you know, court cases are usually expensive. And it is important that you sign on to some of these alternative disputes so that you can find a solution to your problems amicably before you eventually send the case to the court. Because if the two of you have engaged with yourself independently, and you are not able to find a resolution, then that is why you resort to a court to give you the final determination. However, if you haven't been able to solve it within yourself and you go to the court, sometimes it is still difficult for you to find a final resolution to your cases. So I do believe that alternative disputes are quite less expensive and quite easy to engage with yourselves. Even sometimes when there are cases, we take it to the chief palace. And sometimes even those things, especially in the villages, they don't believe in the court system. If you take somebody to court and you don't take your time, you and the person will fight for the rest of your life. So it is prudent that you resort to some of these alternative disputes so that we help to reduce the number of cases that we send to court. The second part has to do with the aspect of the Independence Day. I believe that, as my former lecturer said, Independence Day gives us the opportunity to reflect about our past and see how best we have come and how far we want to go. So I do hope that tomorrow will be a day that we should even start reflecting today. And one of the key elements that we start doing was the economic dialogue series. And the key element was that we want to reflect about what has happened in the past and want to forge ahead into the future. So I do hope and believe that Ghanaians will get out of the troubles that they are in by remembering that the independence of Ghana is meaningless until the total liberation of Africa is attained. So the independence of you is meaningless until you get your economic freedom and until you get your social freedom, until you get the freedom from the people from external aggression. So I do believe that we should take the Independence Day as a very important day and work very hard to be able to overcome our challenges as Ghanaians.
Thank you so much, Doc. And let me go to Dr. Kwame Asante now for your reflections.
Yes, I think I will start with the ADR stuff. And I must say that last year, I took opportunity to study online master's program in alternative dispute resolution. And because I've realized that in recent times, the court is shying away from proper litigation that takes a whole lot of time. So I took the trouble to go through this after my master's program, where I look at conflict and peace studies. I know that the extension is this. We're trying to find that whenever there are issues we need to deal with and it becomes intractable, the ADR provide us with that alternative where you have a third third person neutral to stand as an arbiter dealing with this. The good thing about ADR is that it is not appealable. And so once you end the process where members or the litigant, if you like, will sit down, find a solution to their problem, and then give it to the court to stamp its authority on. The matter ends there. And so it is the new beginning of a new life. And I will urge a lot of people to take it into consideration when they are looking at subjects that they want to consider for a better life. It's an interesting program. As I went through, I have not regretted. In fact, it is important to state that this Saturday, the Institute of Paralegal Training and Leadership Studies is inviting me as a guest speaker to speak on the theme. They are graduating a number of students, and they are. I'm speaking on the theme ADR, a path to a more just and peaceful world. So I'm going to share my perspective on the issues, and then the graduates also aid them as they move into the world of work. So all in all, ADR is a big subject that now you have lawyers who are in there, judges who are in there, and then it is important. I will move on to ethnicity and Ghanaian politics. Right. I am happy with what we are seeing, and it flows from the NPP research in Ashanti region, where before the election, people were saying that, yes, ethnicity play important role, religion and all that. And I am very happy. The results, the report that was churned out, tells it all, that ethnicity have very little or no role in the choices of voters, and then so is religion. More often than not, people say these things and get away with simply because they are not alive to the literature that influence voter choices, and it is not part of any serious business. Because if you look at what happened in the election, the first time you are having a Muslim leading a dominant party like MPP, and then Muslim voting vehemently against him. Why? It means other factors influence their choice and not ethnicity. Come even straight the conversation to the primaries, where you talk about 9 accounts competing against one Nodna, and the Nodna won all, including Ashanti region. He beat them all. In some places, Ashanti candidates were getting 0. It tells you that people were considering other factors. And look at even the previous national results, where the 2 dominant parties have been, led by Christians, and Muslims in this country were voting for Christians in any of the 2 parties. So it tells you that ethnicity is not part.
Right.
Sorry, religion is not part, but ethnicity is also not part. Because if that's the case, the dominant ethnic group in Ghana is Akan. Anytime you contest election and you see Akan, you have lost ab initio. But is that the case? We've seen an ever leading this country in the person of Rawlings. We've seen John Mahama coming from a small minority group leading the charge. So it tells you that other factors. But the most important decider of election is the economy.
All right,
so build economy, and then we'll save everybody all this noise about religion and ethnicity.
Well, thank you. Just for public information, and then we'll move on to other papers. Black Queens for Senegal training tour April in anticipation of the forthcoming Women's African Cup of Nations. The Ghana Football Association has announced that the Black Queens would embark on a 9-day training tour of Senegal. And then, of course, Mess Minister comments plastic recycling companies for waste management. I think we should be encouraging that. So that will be it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper, Benjamin. Doc, if you wanna reflect on any of these two stories quickly, the Black Queens and commending plastic recycling.
I think I will start with the waste recycling system using plastic materials.
Right.
It is a good thing, and I will encourage that all the time. If you go to advanced societies, you see when they are arranging their waste, you have container for rubber, for plastic, this and bottle for paper and the rest. And they go out there, recycle and turn them to effective use. What are we doing here? Look at our sea. Anytime you are at the seashore, you see tons of polythene coming out of the sea. And you ask yourself, which direction are we going? It is littered all over this country. Now you see people picking and all that. It's more of nuisance than anything. We can save our society by recycling some of these things. And also shying away from rubber and then put emphasis on paper. And that can help us. Bottles that are broken and thrown away, we can turn them into something. There is nothing like waste, but your ability to be able to see and then put resources in and turn them around, that makes you a better person to fit into this ecosystem.
Thank you so much. Dr. Jabri, a quick bite and then we get into Ben's papers.
Yes, back to the mess issue. You can only make your country clean if you are able to take away all the rubbers on the ground. Because most of the places, the rubbers choke the gutters and everything. And you see flooding all over the place because it's because of the rubber that we use and we throw them out anyhow. If you go to certain countries like Kenya, they don't use rubber. If you go to the shop to go and buy anything, you have to buy a paper bag and they will pack it inside for you. You have to pay for everything, so you hardly see any rubber on the floor. But just go to any part of our country, you will see that people even use it and put it on the street. And it is not really helping us. So I believe that recycling is the best way to go. If you cannot completely eliminate it, let's start with the recycling. Let us ensure that we do it and do it better and gradually introduce the paper system or the paper system into the equation. And we'll be in a better position to clean out our environment.
Thank you so much.
Well, let's delve into other papers. The Ghanaian Publisher newspaper, Abu Jinapo questions dubious Gold Board initiative, demands clarity. NSS Scandal, Gifty Oware-Mensah will avail herself to the NIB. That's according to Afenyo Markin. Abronya rejects Baumia bad candidate claim, and Bafo Akoto Osei restrained from claiming Kwewu Manghene title. Those are the major stories there. Let me start from here. So, the Member of Parliament for Damongo constituency, a former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Jinapo, has charged the government to provide clearer details about its proposed Gold Board initiative. He stressed the ambiguity surrounding the concept and emphasized the need for transparency to maintain investor trust in Ghana's mining industry. The Gold Board, a key promise in the NDC manifesto, is touted as a priority for revitalizing the economy. I will not flog this horse too much because we already know about the initiative. We already know that the central bank's governor has also said that they are dealing with gold to the Gold Board for more transparency in the system. But the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources does not agree. In a Facebook post, Jinapo questioned the necessity of the Gold Board, pointing out that existing institutions such as the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minerals Commission, the Minerals Income Investment Fund, and the Bank of Ghana already oversee the regulation, management, and revenue generation from gold resources. Then, NSS Scandal, Gifty Oware-Mensah will avail herself to NIB. Minority Leader Mr. Alexander Afenyo Markin has confirmed that Gifty Oware-Mensah, former Deputy Executive Director, National Service Authority, is prepared to meet with the National Intelligence Bureau over the scheme's alleged scandal. Madam Oware-Mensah, along with other former NSA directors, has been accused of adding over 80,000 ghost names to the authority's payroll. The NIB has initiated investigations into the matter. It goes on and on. Yesterday, he spoke to my colleague, Blessed Soga, and of course, that was on Joy FM, but on Joy News as well. There was another interaction there. And the claim has been that there were losses, money that can't be accounted for, of about 50 million Ghana cedis every month. I guess everyone should be given the opportunity to explain themselves. And in this jurisdiction, it is innocent before proven guilty, or until proven guilty. So all those are claims for now. Let's see how things go. Then the third story I'll add for now. The Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame Bafo, popularly called Abronya DC, has defended former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia against claims by some party members that he was a poor candidate responsible for the MPP's loss in the 2024 general election. Abronya dismissed arguments from polling station executives and a group within the party calling for Bawumia to be dropped as the NPP's presidential candidate for the 2028 elections. In a fierce rebuttal, he asserted that the defeat was not due to Bawumia's candidacy, but rather a culmination of broader issues. You can get the story from the publisher newspaper, the Ghanaian publisher, and find out what issues he's referring to. Interestingly, Dr. Kwame Asante, I also heard a sticker, Dr. Stephen Amwa, the Nshiaeso lawmaker, also fighting vehemently because part of the Ashanti Regional Report, executives claimed that he took certain actions and he wonders why some would be singled out. So I guess these are testy times, uneasy times within the New Patriotic Party. I'll start with you, Doc Asante. What are your reflections on these matters?
I will look at the Dr. Bawumia's issue and matters arising. It's an interesting thing, but it's early days yet. But if you look at what went on relative to the elections, you realize that a lot went against Dr. Bawumia. Some of them was not his own making. There were factors that also pushed him away. But of course, he also contributed to it. The number of videos that he churned out, and eventually he could not do them. And then the fact that he was the leader of or the head of economic management team, and the economy was in crisis, and he shied away from the government and all that, coming out with what he called the bold solutions, which I didn't see anyway. If you look at all these things put together, the call for him and all that, what they have to do as a political party is what they've started. Do a research and see what has gone wrong. And then when all those who are interested in contesting, they should do another study and find out who is best fit for the job when it comes to the next election. That's the way to go. Anything beyond data or below data, I'm afraid, will not work. They should pick data and see the right candidate who will appeal to everybody before they can go in for the next election. So that's my advice. The next one is the NSS Scandal and the issue that confront us as at now. As at now, as you rightly put it, it is innocence until proven guilty. So let us not crucify anybody. Let us respect people's rights. The lady is at the proper forum, and then he is going to talk to those who matter in this enterprise. So at the end of the day, what will come out, everybody will see. So that is what I have. The Gold Board Initiative. I don't have knowledge in these things, but the little that I think around gives me some hope that this can really do the trick against smuggling, against the fact that you can use it to regularize the whole system and then check those who abuse the process and all that. but it's early days yet. I think more conversation will be shared on this matter, and people like us who are novice in the area will learn from and make what informed decision out of that. But for now, I believe that we can agree with the government to move on. But if there are other views that can really strengthen the work that they do, or even change the whole process to make it better, why not? We expect the public to share the information. After all, governance is what? Dialogue.
Thank you. Dr. Mohammed, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start with the go broad issue. Technically, I think we have the Precious Minerals Marketing Company. Then we also have the Minerals Investment Fund. These two companies are different altogether. The Precious Minerals Marketing Company, it goes beyond the element of gold. And the Minerals Investment Fund also goes beyond the element of gold. It tries to encompass all the mineral resources that we have and see how best we can invest component of our funds for the future. And the Precious Marketing Company allows us to be able to market all the precious minerals that we have. So I do believe that the Gold Board is coming in as a regulator of all the sectors in terms of the gold and it mining. So we have something we call swaps. What do we do? And the regulations in the gold sector, as well as mining rules and regulations, things like galamsey and all of that, the determination of who mines at where, what percentage of X, Y, Z should be given to a particular mining company, what concession should you be having. Even though we have the mining laws, but the enforcement of the mining laws should be done by a particular sector. So I hope that even though we have the Minerals Commission, we have the, what do you call it, the other commissions that help to regulate that, I think that there are other companies or there are other issues that needs to be dealt with in terms of agency. So I hope that when the Gold Board comes into force, they will be in a better position to solve all of these problems. Another point I think I want to speak about is the NSS scandal. You know that it costs us an average of 50 million Ghana cedis every month. So which means that in a year, we are losing about 600 million Ghana cedis as a result of the scandal after the investigation. This is, as Dr. Shashanti said, this is until you are proven guilty, you can never be held accountable. So, but I believe that the accountability is very important. They have to take them through the process. When they are found guilty, they can confiscate their assets, and in sometimes, eventually, if they do, some of them may have to be in prison at the end of the day. For the issue of the Aburian DCs, as whether Dr. Bawumia is a right candidate or a bad candidate, it relies in the people of the good people of MPP. They will be in a better position to determine whether Bawumia was a bad candidate or he was actually put forth at a time that things were not good. And that is how come that we underperform. And research can always show which candidate will be better for them. So let's wait. It is early days yet. We should not be putting all our effort on politics. Let's focus on the governance process. Maybe in the next 2 years, we'll be able to know who is going to beat the party. Either Bawumia is coming back or they are bringing in a new candidate. But as we rightly said, they should look at their internal matters very well, do a proper research, and come out with findings that can help them to push them forward. Like the NDC did when they lost in 2016, they constituted a committee, and the committee did a thorough research, headed by, they did a thorough research and a Bokeh's report, and they came out with a very good findings, and they do work with it. In the next 8 years, they won overwhelmingly. So I hope that the MPP will follow suit, even though they have commissioned one research. But to what extent has that research been done?
Right.
So they should just put their acts together and get things to work very well for them.
All right. Government to cushion SMEs and plastic waste management with $7 million grant. Pictured the Murtala Mohammed sector minister. But what I want to focus on briefly, just one story. Education Minister cautions against religious restrictions in schools. The Minister of Education, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, has called on educational institutions across the country to refrain from imposing religious restrictions on students. Highlighting Ghana's secular nature, he emphasized that no student should be denied the right to practice their religion, urging full adherence to the constitutional provision of religious freedom. And a statement issued by the Public Relations Unit of the Ministry and the Minister made the call during a meeting with the 2024 Basic Education Certificate Examination Award winners in Accra. I just want very brief, not more than 30 seconds on this. What are your thoughts on this move by the Education Minister, since both of you are academics? I'll start with you, Dr. Mohammed.
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction, because religion, there should not be a revolution in terms of religion. I think that people should be allowed to worship what they believe in. Whether you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, or you are a Buddhist, you should be allowed to practice the religion that you believe in. A religion that is okay for you, let the person practice that, so that that can bring peace to us. To the extent that you have to restrict Muslims from wearing the veil is unacceptable, because that is their identity. So allow them to espouse their identity at everywhere they find themselves in as a Muslim.
All right. Dr. Hassan Asante.
It's a good call, but my worry is that some of this type of statement have gone a long way to discriminate against some people who profess other faiths, i.e. traditional people. Where are they in the scheme of things? I'm a traditional person. I'm not a Christian, but I'm very traditional. You go to meetings and all that. Prayer is either Christian prayer, they end with what? Islamic prayer. What about tradition? Those who own the land before other religions appear here. It is about time we reflected on this thing and include everybody, so that the discrimination against people of different religious faiths will be a thing of the past. Traditional people are also important, factors in the equation. Consider them.
It's an interesting point you make before Sweetie comes in, because then again, we have to contemplate. We're a secular nation, so to speak. We don't have any specific religious taint or leaning. So if we say, okay, the Christian can come with wearing a cross and all that, and it's okay. The Muslim can also come with a burqa or a head veil, and it's fine. Can the one who practices African traditional religion, ATR, also come with, you see what the gan okomfo they put around their neck?
Yes.
And with white cloth and calico and all that. I guess things we can contemplate. I remember when the National Cathedral project came up, others were also calling for a national shrine. Conversations we can have on this matter. Sweetie.
Let's get into the Accra Times newspaper now. First, the stories on the front page. Contribute meaningfully, Speaker Bagbin to MPs. Clark Majority Leader task MPs to enrich Ghana's parliamentary democracy. Gold Board, Sami Jemfi commended and expedites the processes they're demanding. On the economic dialogue, outcomes will be implemented, Maida Boss says. And rising insecurity in Ghana, minority cry. On the road to greatness, Mahama promises new destination as true state of the nation exposes criminals. I don't know if they're criminals. But I want to start with a story about rising insecurity in Ghana, because minority is saying that since the election of President John Dramani Mahama, they are alarmed over rising lawlessness and violence that we are seeing. And so they're asking that they should do something about it. That and the call from the Speaker of Parliament to members of Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament, Aban Bagbin, has urged members of Parliament to view their roles as an opportunity to make a meaningful impact on the lives of Ghanaians to enhance national development. And he emphasized that such contributions are not only rewarding in terms of material benefit, but also build reputation, self-actualization, and dignity. Also, the same call, Clark Majority Leader tasked MPs, asking the MPs to see their legislative roles as to be more of value than just serving their respective constituents. And they're urging MPs to actively contribute to strengthen Ghana's parliamentary democracy in this country. Dr. Kwame Asante, these are just some stories here. Quick reflections on any of them that piques your interest.
I'll look at lawlessness and violence in Ghana, which they were talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we are in a lawless state. Far from it. But sometimes we have problems. We saw the last election, the pocket of violence that we saw. Not a good thing. But it did not start from just 2024. We have seen it throughout our electoral years. And we as a society have failed to address them. What we do instead is to compound the problems anytime we go for elections. And after election, we'll go back to sleep. Look at what has happened in 2024. Who is holding who responsible? We've gone to sleep. And this issue, if we don't take care, will rear their ugly heads in our next election. That attitude of ours must end and must end now. Let us find solution to our problems once and for all. The issue of MPs and their impact on society, a good call. MPs represent, first and foremost, their constituents. And once they come to Parliament, they also represent the state at that level. So it is important that they are reminded of their role all the time. Some of them will come to Parliament and forget about what happens in the constituency. When you call them, very little response and all that. They should shy away from that and visit them time to time, know their problems, convey it toward Parliament, and then Parliament for onward submission to the doorstep of government for redress. That's the duty. They shouldn't promise more than they can deliver. After all, they are lawmakers. But one problem associated with MPs is that because of votes, sometimes they promise something that they cannot deliver. Once they stay within their remits, I think they are good to go.
Right. Thank you. Dr. Mohammed, your take now.
Yeah, so quickly on the parliamentary contribution, I believe that there should be a procedure for members of parliament to be able to contribute meaningfully in parliament. So we need to build our capacity. Capacity building is very important. Some of them come to parliament and are not properly prepared or they are not properly educated. So parliament needs to come out with a procedure of building their capacity so that they can contribute meaningfully both at committee levels and on the floor of parliament. One important thing I think the Speaker of Parliament should do is that they need to come out with a schedule, ensure that each member of parliament makes a statement before they leave parliament. Some of them will come to parliament for the whole 4 years, you will not even hear their voice until they go back to their people for election. I think it is not healthy. There are people, even in as much as they work at the committee level, parliament at display is also equally important for them to be able to showcase what they can do for themselves, for their constituency, and for the country. So they should not shy away from the camera. They have to be in a better position to contribute. So that guidelines should come out and it should be put into their hazard so that they can make a meaningful contribution anytime they come to parliament. On the issue of security, I believe that security is very important. And if there are lawlessness that is coming from vigilante groups or whatever it is, the security services should put better mechanisms in place to be able to stop this. Anytime that a new government comes in, vigilante groups takes over certain installations or certain aspects of toilets, market centers, and what have you. I think that is not good and it has to stop. Remember that in the past, even at court, they went and vandalized the court in Kumasi, and this kind of behavior are not good. They're basically lawless, and it should not be accepted as a country. This country belongs to all of us, and lawlessness, indiscipline should not be tolerated in any case. Whoever you are, whether you are a political party head or whatever it is, you are not above the law. So the police and the security services must crack the whip. So I call on the Minister of Interior to ensure that some of these things are put to stop at any point in time. Lawlessness should not be accepted in this country.
Right. Thank you. Just a quick headlines on the Daily Analyst. On the front page, Heritage Man GJA President calls for collaboration to promote Ghana's cultural heritage. Daughter of murderer comment. Backbone gives 1 week ultimatum to culprit. Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, I think, backs Gold Board to formalize gold trading. And Gifty Oware returns to Ghana. Ghana must reduce reliance on foreign loans, EIU report says. Then.
Well, gentlemen, I'm just going to wrap with some headlines. The news center, and of course, our brothers and sisters on the Omni side, I'm talking about Channel 1 TV and City 97.3 FM, launched 2025 Heritage Month. We are all in the media together, so we celebrate them as well as they do their bit while we do ours here. And arrests of former officials must be civil and lawful, Afenyo Markin says. Dangerous drugs, Samos Farmer fights FDA. Electronic Money Issuers Chamber condemns attacks on mobile money agents. A number of them have lost their lives in the last few years, and there are pictures there. I don't know how apt it is to put their pictures on, front pages like this, though. ANSA hands over solid Jayadek legacy to Ankara, and mandate of Gold Board not clear. Ambiguity can undermine investor confidence. That's according to former Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Dinapo. The Inquisitor. We are poised to implement outcomes of economic dialogue. That's the MIDA boss. I'm talking about Alex Kofi Mensah Mold. Unnecessary attack on Mahama. Alhaji Sani blasts Amidu. And there's also MPP defeat fact findings. Sticker is angry. I'm talking about, like I said, Dr. Stephen Amwa, the Member of Parliament for Ishia. So I'll wrap with the Custodian newspaper. And the only story I'll do there, beware of Ouagadre NDC. Minority cautions Ghanaians. Now, why are they saying the NDC is Ouagadre? The party has entreated Ghanaians to be careful of the governing party and President John Dramani Mahama, who is virtually behaving like a crybaby, endlessly lamenting everywhere about the so-called criminally managed economy. Interesting times, interesting days, and what I would say, an interesting MPP. Gentlemen, 30 seconds each, we have to go. I'll start with you, Dr. Hassan Santi. 30 seconds, please.
I will move away from all that you have said, but there is a story that your network carried, which I want to touch on briefly and go away. The issue of a school in Nanumba area, where children are studying in a very dangerous building with cracks and all that. Why do we do this thing to ourselves when we have put a government in place to take care of our needs and all that? We just want to be there and the building will collapse on them? No. I think that these are some of the things that people in localities might take into consideration. Any government that comes to office and doesn't provide some of these things will vote against that government. That's a simple.
Dr. Mohammed.
Well, I will take my stake on the reliance on foreign loans. I do believe that we have to look inward and ensure that we generate most of our resources internally, because inward remittances and inward this thing can help the country. Over the last years that we have been issuing Eurobonds, we have issued about $21.25 billion from 2007 to 2022. And from 2017 to 2023 alone, we issued about 13.25 billion euro bonds. And I believe that diaspora bond has become one of the critical elements in terms of remittances. If you rely on diaspora bond, we'll be able to cut down the cost of our borrowing by a certain percentage point, at least by 3 percentage points. Research has shown that. So I think that the managers of the economy should look inward and also look at alternative ways of raising funds instead of always looking at external funding, even though external funders are good. But let's look for alternative sources that will give us a better rate.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Sweetie.
Yes, those who join us, Dr. Kwame Asah-Sante, head for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, and Dr. Jibril Mohammed, senior lecturer, University of Ghana Business School. Please stay. Muftan Abil Abdullah serves you AM Sports.